Hello and welcome back to Honey Badger 3D Print and Paint. Today we're looking at this. This isn't a perspective thing, he's giant. First of all, roll those credits. Okay, this guy. So obviously Wolverine. This is from 3DP, and I blew him up a lot. So the way that 3DP used to do their releases is they used to do stretch goals. So you would have the basic model, which was him, but his mask was all intact and he was on a pretty standard base. This is meant to be the finger of a sentinel, and then I did the ripped face where you get to see a bit of him linked with sort of still a big nod to how his costume originally looked. Thighs. He is 900 millimeters long. He is 960 millimeters tall, and he's about 550 wide. He's a chunky boy. He is, what he is fundamentally is an issue. So he doesn't fit anywhere. This was for a while down the 3D printing shop, 3D Filler Print. Check them out in the link below. We've got an affiliate link to get some money off the filament they sell. And he was there as basically a showcase. I printed him almost all on an artillery Sidewinder X1. Few different paint techniques. So this was using a Tamiya paint. The whole thing was painted white because yellow is an absolute mare to cover. As soon as you, especially with something like blue, it's really hard to get tight lines. I tried to sort of do a bit of dry brushing for his hair and things like that, and then I used a chrome pen for his claws. He took quite a long time to print, but my Sidewinder did a really good job. And it did a good job for one main reason. It did a good job because this, and I'll show you, hopefully it'll come out in the 360. This is a textured print. So there's a texture on all of his suit. Textured prints come out fantastically on FDM. Something that FDM seems to really struggle with is perfectly smooth stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, you can do stuff to it to make it better after the fact. That's fine. You can mess about and play about with things, and you can get really good results with FDM. But when you're trying to get something perfectly smooth, especially if it's meant to be metal, it's difficult with FDM without having to do a bunch of prep work afterwards. But textures come out great. They hide quite a few sins when it comes to layer lines, which is exactly what's happened here. If I was doing this again, I would have done all of his claws in resin. His claws did print separately. I would have done all of those in resin so that I got that really nice finish. Or I would have used Replicoat's finish on those to give me a perfectly smooth finish, and then painted them chrome afterwards. His face came out really nicely. I did some gloss finish on his mouth and teeth to give it that sort of wet look, that shine. Overall, he's about 1,500 hours. I had two Sidewinders at the time, so 1,500 hours was about 800 hours per machine, give or take. I suppose about 750. And then I suppose if you do your math, he was about 20 to 30 days worth of continuous printing. So I think it was about 30 days worth of continuous printing with those two machines. The hands, the feet, they all print separately. Both legs print separately. The belt in the middle prints separately. His torso, his arms, say his hands, and all of his claws print separately. His head prints separately, and these two sort of shoulder cuffs print separately as well. And then for the base I had to split into 4, and then I cut this big finger off as well, and that printed separately. He's too big to go on my carousel, so you'll have to deal with my relatively dodgy camera angles, unfortunately. But he is absolutely glorious. I love how he came out. I love the overall finish and the feel of him. I really like it. Yeah, he came out pretty much exactly how I wanted him to. I say the big issue I had was just trying to... A model like this, I would normally airbrush. But when you airbrush yellow, oh, it's a really hard colour to get to cover. So as I say, I primed him all in white. And then I painted him after that. I actually ended up using rattle cans to paint the majority of him, just because of the speed more than anything else. And then when I did the blue, I wasn't careful enough with the blue, unfortunately. I should have masked everything off or used modeller's putty to cover off the areas I didn't want. So there's a little bit of bleed out in colours and things like that. And he's been through the wars a little bit, bless him. So he's only just come back from the shop. He had about a 3 or 4 month stint there, and he's picked up a little bit of damage. So there's going to be some work to patch that to get him back to fighting shape. But I still really love him as a model. He's a big, impactful piece. The yellow is really bold. It's a really bright yellow because it takes you back to sort of original comic book style Wolverine. And yeah, I mean, I really love him, and I love the way it came out. The paint job execution probably going to be a little bit better, but here we are, and yeah, that's the model. So let's give you a little look round.